All right, so get this. Listeners sent in a whole bunch of sources about this mysterious Father Roman Potemkin.
Ah, Father Roman Potemkin.
Yeah, so he's like popping up in all these Cold War documents.
Hmm.
But like, who was this guy?
Right.
Was he a priest? Was he a spy? Was he like some kind of cloak and dagger clergyman?
A tricky one.
That's our mission today,
It really is.
to kind of sort it all out.
You know, even the name Potemkin itself is loaded.
Oh, how so?
I mean, you think back to those fake villages built to impress Catherine the Great, right?
Oh, yeah, the Potemkin villages.
Exactly. So were we dealing with that kind of elaborate facade here?
Good point, good point.
Yeah.
And for those who maybe need a refresher, Potemkin villages were these like facades, right? They looked all impressive, but they were hiding a much bleaker reality.
Right, right.
So are we saying this Potemkin was pulling a similar trick?
Well, let's look at what the sources tell us.
Okay.
It seems our Father Roman, he was likely a KGB agent.
Really?
Yeah, using this like cleverly crafted identity back in the mid-1980s.
Hold on. They went with father
Uh-huh.
for a KGB agent? That's a bold choice.
It is.
I mean, you'd think a priest would be the last person you'd suspect.
Exactly. That's the brilliance of it. If you're the KGB, you want people to underestimate you, right?
Yeah, right.
And a priest. Creates this aura of trust,
Sure.
almost disarming potential targets. It's all about playing with expectations.
Sneaky.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we've got this mysterious father figure,
Right.
but how does he actually enter the scene?
So in 1985,
Okay.
he makes contact with an individual.
All right.
The sources don't specify who this person is.
Okay.
And he sends them an envelope,
Okay.
introducing himself as, you guessed it, Father Roman Potemkin.
Simple as that, huh?
Yeah.
Seems almost too simple.
Right.
I have a feeling there's a lot more going on
Oh, absolutely.
beneath the surface.
Yeah.
It's not like the KGB just sends out random hello cards.
You're spot on. This classic Cold War KGB tradecraft.
Okay.
So what looks like a casual interaction
Right.
could actually be the first step in a complex operation. That envelope. It could be anything.
Oh, like what?
Could be an attempt to recruit someone,
Uh-huh.
gather intel, maybe plant some disinformation.
Wow.
I mean, the possibilities are pretty much endless.
So much intrigue packed into one little envelope.
Right.
And speaking of intrigue, this brings us to Nicholas Danilov.
Yes.
That name pops up a lot in these sources.
He's a key player in this story.
Yeah, he's the one who really gets tangled up with Potemkin, right?
He does.
So who is Danilov guy?
Well, Danilov was a Moscow correspondent for U.S. News and World Report.
Ah, okay.
Seasoned journalist.
So no stranger to the KGB and their game.
Not at all, no stranger.
All right, so what actually goes down between Danilov and our mysterious father?
So picture this. It's January 1985.
Okay.
Potemkin. He leaves a package for Danilov.
Uh,
And inside, you guessed it,
Another envelope?
another envelope, but this one is addressed to the American ambassador.
Now that's what I call a red flag.
Right.
What did Danilov do with that?
Well, he was way too savvy to fall for any traps.
Yeah.
I mean, he knew the KGB playbook, entrapment, framing journalists.
Right.
This was all part of their repertoire.
Wow.
So Danilov, he takes this envelope straight to American diplomats,
Okay.
but not just anywhere.
Where'd he go?
He insisted on a secure room at the embassy.
Oh, wow.
No risks taken.
Smart move.
Very smart.
This guy clearly knew how to operate in that world.
He did.
Makes me think, though,
Yeah.
how common was this?
What do you mean?
This kind of targeting. Were other journalists approached like this?
Well, what's fascinating is that Danilov's encounter
Yeah.
wasn't an isolated incident.
Really?
It actually fits into a wider pattern
Uh,
of Soviet espionage,
okay.
particularly targeting scientists.
Scientists?
Yeah, in the 70s and early 80s.
Wait, scientists? As in people in lab coats spying.
Yes.
I need more details on that.
It might seem surprising,
Yeah.
but a number of American scientists actually chose to spy for the U.S. during this time.
Wow. And why would they do that?
Well, they had this deep concern about the Soviet threat
Okay.
and a belief that they had a duty to protect America.
Talk about high stakes.
Very high stakes.
So how did this information actually get passed along? Like, were there secret meetings in dark alleys or something?
Even more clandestine than that.
Oh, really?
The methods would raise eyebrows even today.
Like what?
We're talking unlocked embassy cars.
What?
Information passed through, you guessed it, American correspondence.
Like what Potemkin was trying to do with Danilov.
Exactly.
It's incredible.
Mm-hmm.
Do we have any, like, specific examples of these scientist spies in the sources?
Absolutely.
Okay.
There's the case of Adolf G. Tolkachev.
Okay.
He's an electronics expert.
Okay.
The intel he provided, highly sensitive stuff.
Like what?
It exposed vulnerabilities in Soviet avionics systems.
Okay, I can see why that would be a gold mine for U.S. intelligence.
It was Tolkachev's information. It was instrumental in the development of stealth technology.
Wow.
Yeah, his story shows the real-world impact of this clandestine information war.
Mind-blowing. This puts Potemkin's actions in a whole new light.
It does.
It wasn't just some lone wolf.
Right.
He was part of something much bigger.
Exactly. And although the sources don't reveal everything about his activities,
Right.
we can confirm his deep involvement in Soviet intelligence.
Yeah.
I mean, his interactions with Danilov and his later cooperation with Soviet authorities
Yeah.
leave no doubt about his role in Cold War espionage.
It's frustrating that we don't have all the pieces of the puzzle.
It is.
But I guess that's what keeps us hooked, right?
Maybe.
The mystery itself is part of the appeal.
I think so.
Yeah.
But even with these gaps,
Mm-hmm.
there are some compelling questions we can ask about Potemkin's motives. What was his ultimate goal? Was he just following orders? Or was there something more driving him?
Yeah, that's the million-dollar question. What made Potemkin tick? What was his end game? Maybe we can shed some light on that as we dig deeper into the sources.
It really makes you wonder what was going on in his head.
Yeah.
Like, was he a true believer in the Soviet cause? Or was he driven by something else?
Yeah, like what?
Maybe ambition?
Okay.
Or even a sense of disillusionment?
That's a good point. We often think of Cold War spies as these ideologically driven figures.
Right.
But maybe it was more complicated than that.
Could be.
I mean, the sources don't really give us like a clear psychological profile.
No.
But I'd love to get your take
Okay.
on the possibility.
Well, one scenario
Yeah.
is that Potemkin was essentially like a cog
Okay.
in the KGB machine,
Okay.
just diligently carrying out his tasks,
Okay.
without necessarily grasping the bigger picture.
Right.
He might have been instructed to target Danilov,
Mm-hmm.
aiming to manipulate him,
Into.
spreading disinformation,
Oh, okay.
or maybe even to discredit him in the eyes of his readers.
So using his credibility against him.
Exactly.
That's classic spy stuff.
Yeah.
But I'm curious,
Yeah.
is there another side to this?
Oh, absolutely.
Could Potemkin have been operating with a bit more autonomy?
It's plausible.
Really?
He had more leeway, maybe
Yeah.
even operating as a rogue agent
Oh, wow.
to some degree.
Okay.
Perhaps he saw this as an opportunity
Yeah.
to exploit the situation,
Uh
maybe for personal gain,
huh.
or to advance a specific agenda,
Interesting.
one that went beyond his official orders.
The rogue agent angle definitely adds another layer of intrigue.
It does, doesn't it?
It does.
Yeah.
Sounds like we're dealing with a real-life puzzle.
We are.
And some pieces are just missing forever.
That's the nature of intelligence work, especially during the Cold War.
Right.
Secrets and deception, it was like woven into their operations.
Okay.
But even without knowing his precise motivations,
Right.
we can at least trace the ripples
Of his actions.
of his actions, yeah.
You're right. His attempt to use Danilov, even though Danilov didn't take the bait,
Right.
it still had real-world consequences.
It did.
What
It
happened?
triggered a major international incident.
Really?
Even though Danilov acted cautiously,
Yeah.
the mere fact that a Soviet agent
Right.
tried to use an American journalist as a pawn,
Yeah.
it escalated tensions between
Yeah.
the two superpowers.
So it just added fuel to the fire.
It did. It really did.
So Potemkin's actions, they weren't just some like abstract spy game.
Right.
They had tangible effects
They did.
on the relationship between the U.S. and the Soviet Union.
Absolutely.
They were pushing them further apart.
Yeah, further apart.
So it underscores the significance of this whole case.
Yes.
It reminds us that the Cold War wasn't just this clash of ideologies. It was like a deeply personal conflict.
Right. With individuals caught in the crosshairs.
It's easy to forget about the human cost when we think about these historical events on such a grand scale.
I agree.
But these were real people with lives,
Mm-hmm.
families and dreams
Yeah.
caught up in this dangerous game.
Absolutely. And we
Yeah.
can't overlook the fact
Right.
that the Cold War cast a long shadow,
Oh, for sure.
one that extends into the present day.
That's a sobering thought.
It is.
So as we reflect on this mysterious Father Roman Potemkin, what would you say is his legacy? How should we remember him?
I think his story serves as a powerful cautionary tale
About.
about the complexities and the dangers
Yeah.
of Cold War espionage.
Okay.
It reveals the lengths
Yeah.
to which intelligence agencies would go
Oh.
to manipulate individuals
Right.
and achieve their objectives.
Regardless of the damage.
Regardless of the damage, yes.
It also highlights their mastery of deception.
Yes.
The way they created these seemingly ordinary personas. Like a priest. Right. To throw people off guard, it's both impressive and unsettling.
Yeah, it really is.
That's maybe the most disturbing aspect of Potemkin's story.
What do you mean?
It makes you wonder
Yeah.
how many other Father Romans might have been out there just operating in the shadows with their true motives concealed.
It's a chilling thought.
It is. It makes you question who you can trust.
Yeah.
When even someone presenting themselves as a man of faith could be working for a hostile intelligence service.
Exactly. It forces us to confront the fragility of trust and the blurred lines between truth and deception.
Especially in the world of espionage.
Absolutely.
While we might never fully uncover the truth about Father Roman Potemkin, his story offers a glimpse into this dark and fascinating chapter
of history.
It does.
Right.
And it reinforces the idea that the Cold War wasn't just this political standoff. It was a human drama filled with intrigue and betrayal and uncertainty.
Yeah, a lot of uncertainty.
You've delved into the who, the what,
Yeah.
and even the why of Potemkin. But before we wrap things up, I have one final question for you.
Okay, shoot.
What's the single most important takeaway you hope our listener will gain from this deep dive?
It's amazing how we just started with this name, Father Roman Potemkin.
I know, right?
And we ended up in this, like, intricate web of Cold War espionage.
It's crazy.
With scientists passing secrets and journalists caught in the crossfire.
Yeah, international tensions.
Running high.
Crazy stuff.
It really shows how a seemingly isolated incident can be connected to this much larger, more complex game.
For sure.
A reminder that things aren't always as they seem.
Especially when you're dealing with intelligence agencies.
Especially then, yeah.
But before we let you go, we like to leave our listeners with something to ponder. A question that kind of goes beyond what we see in the sources.
Right, sounds good.
What thought-provoking question has this deep dive sparked for you?
You know, it's how Potemkin's story challenges our whole perception of truth.
Oh, okay.
In a world where deception and manipulation were so prevalent.
Right, right.
How can we ever be certain that we're seeing the complete picture?
Yeah, how do we know we're not being tricked?
Exactly. How much of what we believe to be true is actually a carefully constructed illusion.
Ooh, that's interesting.
Designed to serve someone else's agenda.
So you're saying there might be, like, Potemkin realities out there, you
Right.
know, like information presented in a way that distorts or hides the truth.
Exactly.
Kind of like those facades hiding a different reality, huh?
It's a challenge we face not only in espionage,
Oh, I bet.
but in our everyday lives.
Really?
Think about it. We're
Yeah.
constantly bombarded with information
True.
from countless sources.
Yeah.
And it's becoming increasingly difficult to distinguish fact from fiction.
Oh, for sure.
Genuine news from propaganda.
So what's the solution? Are we just doomed to live in a world where we can't trust anything or anyone?
I wouldn't say doomed,
Okay.
but it requires us to be
Yeah.
more vigilant,
Okay.
more critical,
Right.
and more willing to question the information we're given.
Okay.
We need to cultivate a healthy skepticism.
So not just be like cynical or distrustful,
Right, exactly.
but just be more discerning
Exactly.
with the information we take in.
Yes, think of it like this.
Okay.
We need to channel our inner Nicholas Daniloff.
Okay. I like that.
Approach things cautiously.
Yeah.
Be aware of the potential for manipulation.
Don't take anything at face value.
Right.
Got it.
Hone those critical thinking skills.
Okay.
Learn to analyze information.
Uh-huh.
Consider multiple perspectives.
Right, right.
Look for evidence to support claims.
So basically thinking for ourselves.
Yes, exactly.
Not just passively accepting what we're told. That's great advice. It applies to everything.
It does, doesn't it?
From dealing with espionage to just navigating the modern world.
Absolutely. Being informed,
Yeah.
engaged citizens,
Thinking critically.
making sound judgments.
Love it.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's time to wrap up.
Okay.
This deep dive into the world of Father Roman Potemkin.
A fascinating character.
He really is.
His story reminds us of the dangers of deception,
Yeah.
the importance of critical thinking,
Mm.
and the legacy of a conflict that still shapes our world today.
Very true. Very
And
well
maybe, just maybe,
Yeah.
it's a reminder that the truth,
The truth.
it often operates in disguise.
Like a spy.
Exactly.
I like that.
It's up to us to develop the skills to see through those disguises, to relentlessly seek out the truth.
No matter how elusive it may be.
Exactly.
Well, to our listener, thanks for diving in with us.
Thanks for listening.
Until next time, keep those minds sharp, keep those questions coming, and keep exploring the world.
With a curious and discerning eye.
Exactly.